Today's guest, who's also accompanied by Bagira here today, is Amy Cara, who is a marine biologist. She's going to be sharing a lot about her journey, her professional life, what she gets up to in Dubai, and all the other places that she travels into. So join me today as we have this conversation. Hello, Amy. Thank you so much for being here. Hello, Bagira. Thank you so much. It's an honor to have you here. So let's go straight into it. Who's Amy?
Wow, who is Amy? What a question. Amy is somebody who has traveled the world quite a lot with I'm very fortunate to be able to do a job that I love, and it's taken me around the globe. So originally, you might not be able to hear from my accent, but I'm originally English, and I came from England nearly 21 years ago when I first came to Dubai. This fella here is from Australia. You might hear more of an Australian twang from me. I lived nearly 10 years in Australia. My third time in Dubai, and I've also lived in Ireland as well. So I've kind of jumped around with my job. So very lucky to be able to do that, and I love what I do. Obviously, I work with animals, as you might be able to guess.
Tell us more about that.
Yeah, Bagira. What can we say? So I'm a marine biologist by trade. So back in university in England, I did my marine biology degree, and then I moved to Dubai when I was 21. And then I worked with dolphins and sea lions for nearly 10 years in total, actually. So sometimes here in Dubai, and other times I moved to Australia and worked there for 6 years as well. So then I moved across to Ireland, and I worked in a seal rescue facility there. Then I moved back to England, worked with some short-clawed otters, then moved back to Dubai, worked with dogs, moved back to Australia, specialised in gorillas and behavioural modification, wow. Okay. And then came back to Dubai, and that's where we are right now.
Okay, and let's take it right from the beginning. Why did you choose the profession you're in? What led you here?
So I can't imagine of doing anything apart from working with animals. Since a really small child, I always understood animals easier than people, if I'm honest with you. Animals were always what I wanted to do, and I love the ocean. So right from the get-go, my dad was always like, she's going to be a marine biologist. And then, yeah, I did marine biology at university, and I really wanted to get into research. So research on wild cetaceans, so wild whales and dolphins out in the ocean. I was very lucky enough to have my dissertation published out in Greece, which was focusing on human impacts on wild dolphins. And then from there, I ended up coming to Dubai, working with marine mammals here. And the rest is kind of, history.
Wow, amazing. And you've traveled a lot. So can you maybe share your experiences in terms of which places were your best, you absolutely loved, you'd go back, and why? And how is the professional life in all of those areas that you've been?
Yeah, sure. So I would say every place that I've lived in has had something fantastic to offer. No place is perfect in the world, but you wouldn't want it to be perfect. So I never thought, when I look back at when I first moved to Dubai, I was 21. I remember telling my mum, I'm only going to be here for 1 year, mum. Don't worry. I'm only going to be here for a year. And then a year kind of turned into 3.5 years. And I loved my time here in Dubai. My dad moved here when I was 17. So I already kind of knew Dubai a little bit. I had an introduction to Dubai, and I never knew places could be so different. It could be so much fun. And then, and I caught the traveling bug, I suppose. I never thought I'd go all the way to Australia. I love Australia. It's a really nice, obviously the weather is beautiful there. The struggle in Australia is that it's so far away. So I was very far from my family, who are predominantly in the UK, or they're in Spain as well. So it was a long way to travel back. But again, we're so fortunate these days we can jump on a plane and fly straight back. But Australia was a very special place, just very, very, very far away.
Love that.
Ireland, I loved. The Emerald Isle, it's so green, so lush. That was fantastic. I never imagined again living in Ireland. Really lovely people, lovely culture. And then I just redid it all again. So then I went back to the countries that I already knew. So I went back to Dubai, I went back to Australia, just different places, different locations. So everywhere offered something different for me. I was very lucky to have, friends and who I would consider family. You end up being an expat. I think you end up creating really strong bonds with people because you don't have your family. I was very lucky to have, my dad was here for 15 years with me. So even though I wasn't living with him, he was just down the road, I had him as support, and my other family not too far away. you know, England is 7 hours flight from here. But then being in Australia, you make friends, obviously, that are like family as well. So, yeah.
I love that. I love that. So Dubai, when you came earlier for the first 3 years and then you left, how is it different?
Oh my goodness.
And now, yeah.
Yeah, so different. I still remember the first time that I landed when I was 17 and my dad had just moved here, and I just remember the heat hitting me, and that obviously is the same as what we're getting right now with the summer. But I would say it was just so much quieter. Where we used to live was Dubai, and it was just a very different, not nearly as busy. When I think back to what was here and what was not here, like you look at Dubai Marina, there was like one building, that was it. Like there was hardly anything there. I mean, that was 21 years ago. It was crazy when I look at like how much Dubai has grown in the last 21 years. And every time I've left and come back, there's been so much that's happened from a growing perspective. Buildings obviously popping up, new adventures, new opportunities. When I first came in, I worked on the Palm, and the Palm hadn't even really been like finished. There was very few buildings on there. So yeah, it was a really cool opportunity to be there.
I always look at the pictures online, videos online, and the difference over the past 20 years is really impressive.
It's so crazy.
I want to take it back to your professional life. There's someone watching the show and they want to do what you're doing. Take us through your journey.
Yeah, sure. So I always knew I wanted to work with animals, and the pathway to work with animals isn't really clear. Like if you want to become an accountant, you know what you need to study to be able to achieve that, the same as for many other careers, I think. But for animals, my teachers never really knew what to, they'd, you know, buckle down, study hard. Biology is really important, chemistry is really important, maths, English, all of your necessities. So I was very lucky at school, and I got through my subjects well. And then when I got the opportunity to specialize, I specialized in a little bit of psychology as my A-levels, and then marine biology when I got to my degree. I always knew that marine biology was going to be it, and I didn't know that behavior was going to be what I was going to specialize in. So I kept it really broad for a long time. So the degree itself does a lot of different subjects. Some of the subjects not so nice. Statistics, for example, very helpful. But
no one likes that.
No,
but yeah.
I was very lucky though that I made my way through that. And then it came to, behavior was something that I really enjoyed. And I always thought that I was going to be more out in boats, out in the ocean, studying, doing transects out in the ocean, collecting data. I loved that. I loved that at uni. And then by the time I qualified, so when I got my degree, the global financial crisis happened. Ta-da! So
I can imagine that.
Yeah, a lot of things were stripped, and research is one of them. So research was just like, you know what, there's no money in it. You're not going to find a job in that. So I had to be a little bit more thoughtful on where I wanted to go career-wise. So I was looking for anything with animals, and I actually started in a little place in the UK. A little aquarium there that had different species, sharks, fish. Again, marine biology was my forte, but then I kind of, I got to see a little bit more about what this career could offer to me. Then my dad had moved out to Dubai, so I was like, right, let's try my hand over here, let's see. Never expected to get anywhere because I was starting my career, you know, as a 21-year-old, and I got that opportunity. And then, my love of behavior, behavioral modification, animal welfare, that became my niche, that became my speciality, I suppose. That, and along with education programs, so getting the kids involved and getting them to have the connections with the animals so that they could understand, you know, what we can get from them, but what we can give to them as well, like how we can make this all work really well. So that was kind of how it all started for me. And then I went across to Australia. I was asked because of the experience that I had with animals, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. So for people that want to work with animals, it's not a structured pathway. You kind of just want to get as much experience as you can. And I'm really lucky as well. My experience isn't just with terrestrial animals, it's with marine. So because I've worked with exotic animals, I've worked with domestics, any opportunity. I used to ride horses as a child, you know, volunteer here, there, and everywhere. So people that want to get with animals, I would say that the career path is not, you can't do anything wrong. Just keep on trying to get your way to be able to find experiences with animals.
Wonderful.
Good boy.
Wonderful. Then you now have an animal training academy.
Yes, so Amy's Animal Academy, I actually started it over in Australia originally, and it was helping me out just as like a side business. And I was like, you know what, let's just see what happens. And then here in Dubai, it's taken off faster than what I could have ever imagined. So the last 2 years, we're fully booked. And I say we because this is my colleague here. This is Bagira.
Love it.
He is the best colleague you could ever want or wish for. He is the best boy. He's 3 years old, and he came with me from Australia. His the reason why I got him was to be able to help me. Bagira is, it's from the Jungle Book. So his name means mentor, friend. So that's his reasoning for why he came with me. And he's been the best. He helps a lot of dogs around Dubai. Dogs that are reactive to other dogs, dogs that are fearful, people that are fearful as well. They get to see, you know, a nice, calm and safe dog around. He's also a reading dog, which means that he can go into schools and the children will read books to him. He just loves to be around people. So,
wow, I love that.
Yeah, so he's a very special boy. I've had him since he was 8 weeks old, and yeah, he's as I say, the best colleague that I could ever ask for. But having my own business is something that I always wanted, but never thought I'd really be able to achieve. And yeah, we're fully booked here, and that's great. It's always getting new people to help, and our Instagram has definitely people often comment on what a good boy he is. He is a good boy. Bagira, you good boy?
Aww. Yes, he is. He's been so behaved. So
don't jinx it.
You know, let me not jinx it.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything. So maybe there's someone watching also. They're like, okay, I would love to get in touch with the academy. Give us more details. How do they do that?
Yeah, definitely. It's the academy, and it doesn't just specialize in dogs. Dogs, cats, gorillas, dolphins, giraffe, donkeys, cows. The other day I was training, you know, whatever species it is. Birds are a great one too. So the best way to contact is through Amy's Animal Academy. Leave me a message there, and for sure I can help out to be able to guide people to help the communication between the animals, the behavioural modification or whatever it may be.
Love it, love it.
Bagira, leave it.
I cannot help but want...
Good boy.
I cannot help but want to talk about the gorillas. How was that?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Gorillas were amazing. Yeah. So I was headhunted for that job, actually. Okay. I didn't even apply for it. I never even thought, I didn't have gorillas on my radar. And I was asked to go across and help Sydney, Australia, to be able to help coordinate their animals. They had some challenges with moving the animals, some husbandry behaviours. That's what I specialise in, is getting cooperative husbandry behaviours. So teaching animals, for example, to be able to voluntarily give their arm for an injection so they can go to sleep, have health checks. When it comes to animals, we want to make sure that everything is done in the best way possible for them, stress-free. And there's always going to be times that are a little bit difficult with them. But we want to make sure that it's as stress-free as possible. So I work really hard on building a good, strong relationship with the animals. So my job over there was to get the staff and the animals on the same page, and to be able to get them to be able to communicate the most effectively.
I love that. I love that. And you generally find that there are people who love animals and there are people who just don't. Yeah. What would you say to people who are maybe scared of dogs or, Yeah,
do you know what? And there's a lot of people that are very fearful of dogs or a lot of animals, and it's just because they don't understand them. And don't be scared to tell people if you're scared of animals. I actually, you know, Bagira is a really good dog. When I go into a lift, for example, I can tell from the people's body language if they're not comfortable. Yeah. I will always ask them, first of all, is it okay to come in the lift, and to tell them that he will stay in the corner, he won't come and approach them. I think being really honest and open with people if they're scared of things. Everyone's got fears, and it's nothing to be ashamed of to be scared. Yeah. Me, I'm petrified of needles. I'm really bad with needles. If I'm taking blood from an animal, I'm fine. But if it's a needle for me, I really don't like it. Yeah. And so I always, when I first sit down with the nurse, I tell them
I'm scared. Yeah.
I'm really not good. And so that they can then help me through it as well. And it helps me to help other people. So some people, especially when you're sitting in front of a silverback gorilla, let's say you're sitting in front of them, there's always a bar between you, a barrier. We call it protective contact training. So there's never a point where, I mean, there's danger around any animal, any person, any, when you get into your car every day, there's an element of a risk.
Of course.
But what we do is make sure that obviously that there's no extra risk.
You have a training academy. How do you navigate that? Because you move around a lot.
Yeah, definitely. So wherever I am, I've obviously got clients that, like in Sydney, I've got clients and I'm still in contact with them and I still help them out remotely. So we can still do, luckily, the way that the world is, we can do video calling to be able to help people out and to be able to give that advice as well. So there's a lot of things that I can still do from afar. So being able to have my business remotely, my plans in the future would be great to have some online content as well so that I can help people out with online courses, because a lot of people have got questions about how can I do this with my dog, or how can I fix this with my cat or my gorilla, and so how I can help out the zoo community as well. So yeah.
Perfect. Okay, then let's talk about Amy outside of the professional space.
Yes.
What do you do for fun? What do you get up to in Dubai?
Yeah, do you know what? It's hard to find time to do what I want to do in Dubai. There's so many things, though. I love to go out on new adventures. I love to be able to see, the ocean as well is a big one for me, to drive across to Bagira. That's where I learned to dive when I was 17. To go, diving, marine, being out on boats is kind of the ocean is my sanctuary. Now, obviously, it's about 1,000,000 degrees out there right now, so it's a bit of a challenge to do that. But again, taking Bagira around as well, finding hot spots for him to be able to enjoy. So yeah, Bagira, leave it. Sit. Good boy. Nicely done, bud. So to be able to find places where I can take Bagira, there are lots of dog-friendly places here in Dubai that are kind of hidden gems, and then places that are air-conditioned that allow animals. Because having animals here in Dubai, you have to be a little bit more strategic on how you can, for example, exercise them. So every day we're up at 5 a.m. because it's too hot for him. By 7 a.m., it's too hot for him to be outside. So I need to make sure that I get his opportunity to get out some energy productively, nice and early in the morning.
Yeah. And talking about traveling and doing things with Bagira, how do you navigate traveling with him? I can imagine, I've heard that it can also be very expensive.
Yes.
How does,
Yeah, traveling with animals is expensive for sure. When we came across from Australia, I've got a cat as well called Ariel. So she came, and so did Bagira. They have to be crate trained first of all. They go onto a plane. The whole experience is, expensive and obviously time consuming as well. But it's all possible to be able to do. Okay. So just making sure that's always in my budget as well, just in case that I need to be able to take them anywhere. A lot of people this time of year will travel with their pets and go back to their home countries for maybe 3 months. There's relocators here in Dubai that will help you to be able to do that as well. Dubai's becoming easier to take animals in and out the country as well, depending on where you're going. It is becoming, it's a little bit difficult with different sized animals. Obviously, you can see Bagira is a reasonably sized dog. He's 30 kilos, so a bit different to your, an 8-kilo dog that can sit on your lap on a plane, for example. Okay, things are becoming a little easier here.
Do you then have to get a separate seat for him because he's so big?
So he can't sit on a plane with me in Dubai, so he has to go into the hold. So he goes into a crate underneath, and so he can pretty much just sleep his way as well there. But then you can also do staycations, and there are more hotels here in Dubai as well that you can go to, and you can they're pet friendly, so you can take them out to the beach. Obviously weather dependent still, so the winter is the better months to be able to do all of that kind of stuff.
We can tell I don't own a pet, so I need to fix that. And in terms of healthcare for the animals, how is that?
Yep, so healthcare again is a big expense, and making sure that you've got a good vet to be able to look after your best interest for the animal as well as for yourself. So there's lots of vets here. There's ones that I've found that have been absolutely fantastic and really supported me on things that I may not have known, or to be able to help both my cat and my dog. But it is expensive, veterinary care. In all places around the globe, it's always something that you want to have in your budget for just in case. It is expensive.
Okay, interesting. You've done a lot in your professional life. So what's next? Anything on the horizon? Yes, no, maybe?
Yes, no, maybe. Yeah. I'm always looking at the next adventure, next challenge. I'm always ready. I want to develop myself further always. I don't think that we're ever done with learning. And I think that's something that you always want to, increase your skill set, both from a professional and a personal set as well. So like right now, I'm still trying to learn Spanish. I still want to make sure that I keep my, I like to salsa dance. So I want to, again, increase my skill set, but professionally as well. I don't just want to sit in a job and just exist. It's just not for me. I want to make sure that we do the best. So I'll often go and do conferences around the globe. So last year I was in Sydney. And in the Gold Coast, actually. In Gold Coast, we had a conference, an animal training conference, which again, it just helps you to connect with all people from around the globe and to be able to, upskill ourselves. So I'm always looking for the next adventure, and watch this space.
If you look back in your entire career, what are some of the highlights that you're proud of? Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, there's so many, but I would probably say doing some of the TV work, because it's been the most fun as well, working with a crew. So I did a TV show quite a few years ago in Australia. It's a kids TV show. It was 8 weeks of craziness, having a film crew literally follow you around 24/7. And it was all about teaching children how to be good ambassadors for the planet. So how they can positively impact the environment in their daily lives, how they can help wild turtles, dolphins, seals. We had a dolphin rescue whilst we were there as well, so the kids got to be involved with that. It was 4 Irish children and 4 Australian children, and it was, the most fun. Really, really good. And then also we got to do, later on in my career as well, to do some documentaries with the zoo, and again, how do we look after the gorillas? And we did a big project. On one of my big projects was to successfully hand inject a silverback gorilla, separate him from his troop, which is a big deal. All voluntary. So he first of all separated from his females and from his babies, which is a big deal for them. He then offered his arm, gave him an injection, he went to sleep, and we managed to do a full health check on him.
Wow. And
the zoo had never done that before. So that's why I was brought in as well. One of the reasons why I was brought in for that project. And I had a great team at the zoo as well to support us. It wasn't just my work, it was everyone coming together. And we did it successfully, and it was all documented by the TV crew there as well. So to be able to share what we're doing with the animals, and for people to understand a little bit more about what happens behind closed doors. There's always room for improvement, but animal welfare should always be our priority. It's definitely my priority. And so sharing that and inspiring the next generation. That's what we're on. We've got to be on this planet to do something positive, hey?
100%, yes. Yeah. And if someone wants to go back and watch those, are they available somewhere? Documentaries?
I am sure they are. So the kids' TV show is called Blue Zoo. It was a few years ago now, but I'm sure that you can still see that probably on YouTube or something like that. And the documentaries is Who's Who at the Zoo, I think it was called. So there's clippets for sure.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you so much. That will be the end of our conversation.
Perfect.
Let's cheers to that.
Let's cheers.
Thank you so much for coming through.
Cheers. Thank you for having us.